Hi boys and girls. Tonight this is our video number 11 and I'm going to be walking you through your essay that we'll be doing tomorrow in class for the Cask of Amontillado. Now, the Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe we know is a story of revenge, and the quote that I will be using as our critical lens for this essay is revenge is a dish best served cold. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Now we talked about this in class a little bit, discussing how not to take this literally, but instead, you don't have to literally serve a dish to somebody to get revenge. I mean, you could put poison in it, but in this case, it's just dishing something out to somebody. When you do it, you want to do it cold. What does that mean? We could be cold-hearted. You could have ice in your veins if you don't renege on something. You continue through it, and there's no stopping you. That's having ice in your veins. That's being cold. Also, thinking things through. We think the opposite of cold is hot, right? And if you're doing things in the heat of the moment, you'll make mistakes, right? And Montresor is very careful to plan out this murder, to do things very much with a cool head. So we get all these different temperature themes that we could bring up to relate to this critical lens quote. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Think about that again. Cold. Opposite of hot. You don't want to be doing it in the heat of the moment. Think it through. Cold, having ice in your veins. Cold-hearted. You don't care about somebody else. So all those aspects in temperature can be related to this quote. And when you're seeking revenge, when you're dishing out something like that, you got to be cold. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, you have an outline actually you got from class today. That outline looks like this, and in the beginning, you are going to restate the critical lens, the quote itself, and you'll say, "It has often been said," or "The revenge is dish served cold" is a great quote relating to the Cask of Amontillado. Okay. Do you agree with this quote? I would often agree with the quote. It's easier to agree with the statement than to disagree. You have a harder argument usually coming up with something that is negative towards a critical lens or a quote that, say, a Regents exam is giving you. So after that, what does the quote mean to you? You have to take the time to explain this quote, and one sentence is not enough. You'll see in your sheet tomorrow that I don't just want a single sentence explaining its meaning. That's not enough. You need to give me at least a couple sentences. Also, in the body paragraph, don't forget, you are going to identify the title and author of the story that shows the statement to be true. Okay, so that's all coming in your introductory paragraph. Now, you might be thinking in your graphic organizer, it kind of looks like you only need 3 paragraphs, and this sheet you're going to get tomorrow will be 4. But after your intro paragraph is body paragraph 1. So when you're looking at your graphic organizer that you might have at home with you right now, this graphic organizer, after it says the quote, and what does it mean to you, it then is going to give you 3 boxes, and it says body paragraph 1. That's body paragraph 1. So after your intro paragraph, your first paragraph in the body should give me a quick summary of the story. Summary, just giving me an outline that Montresor is seeking revenge against Fortunato because he's insulted him. Okay, he plans to murder this person by luring him into the basement with fine wine. That's good enough. Okay, we get to the body paragraph, and there it says, how do we know Montresor planned the murder? He takes, that's more of a summary. You can build on that, but he's basically going to plan to do it over the carnival season. We said this was very important because during the carnival season, there's a lot of noise outside. People are masked. We can't have any eyewitnesses. And finally, he's intoxicated too because it's a big party and a celebration on the street. So all this stuff he totally planned out. Also, how else do we know he planned the murder? This part in here, you can be adding this in there. Downstairs in the basement, he had the trowel set in his jacket. He had underneath the bones, the mortar, the bricks all set out, and he had the location set to go. He also relieves he doesn't relieve them, but he tells them not to go, his servants, right? He plans all these things out to show that he's plotted this, and that's doing things with a cool head, relating back once again to our critical lens. The final part of body paragraph 1 is, what literary term are you planning on using? Be sure you have an example from the story. In notes from class, I will help you during your writing of this to talk about this, but during class we mentioned the pun, Pun is a literary term where the mason is somebody who's troweling and laying bricks, but we also have a mason who is a Freemason, which is part of Fortunato's cult, Fortunato's cult or whatever his club. He's a Freemason, and Montresor says I'm a Mason too. So there's a great pun there. But that also, boys and girls, is foreshadowing. How many things foreshadowed his death coming? The cough, he keeps telling him, you could die down here from your cough. That's foreshadowing. How about the coat of arms, where he steps on the snake and the snake bites him back? You won't get away with getting me without getting revenge. So that's foreshadowing. Tons of foreshadowing throughout the whole story, so we knew that he was going to commit this murder. It was almost very obvious that he was going to commit this murder, but yet Fortunato's too intoxicated to understand it or to see it. And besides that, we also get a lot of irony in this situation, in this story, in the fact that things are the opposite of what you would expect. During carnival season, a party, we have this murder. He's dressed in a clown suit, and that's his funeral suit, right? His instead of being in a suit buried properly, we get him buried in essence in a clown gesture suit. That's ironic. We have a lot of verbal irony throughout the story, and these notes I will continue to help you in class, but irony, foreshadowing, and definitely pun are great things to introduce in your body paragraph. So your body paragraph is going to be quick, couple sentence summary. We know he planned the murder, and that's relating back to the critical lens. He planned it out with a cool head, calm. He didn't do it in the heat of the moment. He didn't turn around and try to get revenge on somebody right away. He planned it out. And finally, the body paragraph, just mentioning a literary term from it too, is a concept that we need to make sure we're covering in our writing pieces in English 9. Finally, we get to the second big paragraph, and body paragraph 2 is connecting the quote to the story. See, body paragraph 1 is all about the story. Now connect to it. Okay, connect it to the quote, and saying that he got away with it because he was cold. He went through it. At the very end, when Fortunato's begging for his life, I don't know, but anybody who's sane, anybody who has a warm heart or is compassionate, as somebody's begging for their life, it's hard to turn back and say, yes, for the love of God, be gone. You know, this guy is psychotic, and he has a cold heart indeed. So you can talk about that and relate back to the story on how he was cold-hearted through that sense. How he served up this dish cold to him, and serving it back, he had planned to get revenge all the time on Fortunato, and he really didn't let Fortunato know about it. He didn't give lead on to that fact. But anyway, any way that you can connect the story back to the quote will be done in body paragraph 2. That means do not start doing it in the intro paragraph. See that, boys and girls? Many people in the introductory paragraph want to get right into it and start saying, this is just like the story, but no, we don't do that at all in the intro paragraph. You're telling me what the quote is, you're explaining what the quote means to you, and then you move on. Body paragraph 2 talks about the story, The Cask of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe. Body paragraph 3 relates the story to the quote. And finally, the conclusion in here. In a conclusion, let's go back to our essay assignment. You'll be getting this tomorrow in class. Before you, there's bullets, a checklist, okay? Be sure to refer to at least one literary element. Body paragraph 2, summarize the main point of your essay. The main point of your essay is that this story emphasizes or illustrates or, shows best this critical lens. Explain how it connects to the quote. Be sure to point out that by being patient, the main character was able to carry out the revenge without facing punishment, okay? Carries out with impunity. That was a vocab word earlier on in the story. A redresser must seek this punishment with impunity, okay? Not getting caught. So that's kind of important there too, and that has to do with the quote. And in conclusion, you need to leave the reader with something to think about. What is your opinion of revenge? Do you suggest people act out in revenge? These are some ideas of things that you can answer. So in your final part of your graphic organizer, in your conclusion, you may want to think about how to restate the introduction a little differently again. Please don't start off with, in conclusion, revenge is a dish best served cold, and the cask of Amontillado works well for that quote. That's the worst conclusion you can have. Instead, restating it in your own words is what's important. And then also kind of expressing your feelings on it a little bit, telling me, how you relate to this. You can simply state, Montresor is a messed up psychotic guy, and revenge is not necessary in every situation. You can certainly put that into your paper. You can definitely put in there some of your own feelings about that in that last part. Your opinion of revenge. Should people act out in revenge? And definitely, there's some merit to it too. I think that there should be retribution for people's wrongdoings. If you're a Christian, you believe that God will take care of those things. You don't have to do that. And karma, if you're Buddhist, they believe that what goes around comes around. So do you really need to seek revenge? That's kind of a moral question. And in this sense, Edgar Allan Poe feels that yes, revenge is credible. And some people believe in eye for an eye. There are countries and religions, and still, if you do something to somebody, revenge comes back to you. So just in your conclusion paragraph, isn't that so much better to talk about your own feelings of this story and this revenge and this critical lens as a whole? It's so much better than just saying, revenge is a dish best served cold, and that's a great story by Edgar Allan Poe. That's how most people put it. In conclusion, avoid that, boys and girls, at all costs, okay? And I think you'll have a great essay here. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Please come prepared with your graphic organizer, completed a bit, and ready to write. If you write your essay for about 20-25 minutes, you'll have time to have it looked over by a neighbor, and maybe you'll find some information that they have, and you'll be like, wait, that's a great literary term. I want to include that in mine. You can do more than one. Wrap up your conclusion. Maybe they've got a great conclusion sentence that will help yours out, and reading theirs may help you to develop yours. But in 40 minutes, you've got to create that writing piece for me, okay? Thank you, boys and girls. I'll see you tomorrow.